You've been told these habits will change your life. Wake up earlier, journal more, hustle harder. But here's the truth. Some of the habits that sound the most productive are the ones that are quietly keeping you stuck. As a doctor, I used to watch patients, smart, driven, high-functioning people burn themselves out trying to do everything right. And it wasn't just physical burnout, it was emotional exhaustion, lack of clarity, a deep sense that something was off. So let's talk about the habits that might be working against you and what to do instead. We're going to start with one of the most popular success habits out there, the kind that just floods your feed every morning, but might actually be draining you. You've seen the reels. Wake up at 5 a.m., drink the lemon water, journal your 10 goals, meditate, ice bath, workout, green juice, breath work, cold shower, all before 7 a.m. Listen, I love a good morning routine, but here's the deal. If your routine is costing you sleep and stressing you out or setting you up to fail, it's not helping. Even moderate sleep loss, like getting just 1.5 to 2 hours less than usual, has been shown to significantly impair alertness, increase errors, and reduce overall cognitive performance. And chronic sleep deprivation, it's linked to higher rates of anxiety, depression, insulin resistance, and even heart disease. When I was in practice, I saw what sleep debt did to people. Elevated cortisol, suppressed immunity, hormonal imbalance. No green juice is powerful enough to fix that. So what to do instead? Build a morning that supports your biology, not just your ambition. Now, that might mean sleeping until 7:30 or doing one grounding ritual instead of 10. Start with something I call a morning anchor. One small habit that makes you feel like you again. For me, it's a really gentle yoga flow that I do first thing, just breathing and stretching before I have my coffee. 10 minutes. That's it. Remember, rest is productive and your energy is your most valuable asset. So unhelpful habit number 1 is hustle culture morning routines. And if that one hit a nerve, wait until you hear what might be hiding in plain sight all day long with habit number 2. So let's talk about another sneaky habit that feels productive but can actually backfire. Overscheduling every minute of your day. You know the type. 15-minute time blocks, color-coded calendars, and a plan for exactly when you'll do everything from deep work to drinking water. It looks impressive, but in real life, it's a trap. Here's what happens. The moment something unpredictable shows up, your kid gets sick, your energy crashes, a meeting runs long, the whole system collapses, and you feel like you failed. As Dr. Stephen Southwick from the Yale School of Medicine said, rigidity is the enemy of resilience. There's also research to back this up. Studies show that greater flexibility and autonomy in how we manage our time is linked to higher well-being and better work-life balance. So here's the alternative. Instead of a time prison, build what I call spacious structure. Anchor points throughout your day, but with room to breathe. That might mean setting a clear start and end to your workday, but leaving the middle more fluid. Or choosing your top 1 to 2 non-negotiables and letting the rest flex based on energy, not ego. And if you're realizing right now that you might be stuck in a cycle of overscheduling, over-efforting, and still not feeling how you want to feel, I want to invite you to join me in something that can really help. It's called The Reset, a free 5-day challenge designed to help you untangle the noise, clear the mental clutter, and start rebuilding your life from a place of clarity and strength. It's short, it's powerful, and I made it for people exactly like you. I'll drop the link below. Now, let's move to habit number 3, and this one is a habit that is super popular in the wellness world, but it often backfires big time. And this one might ruffle some feathers, but let's talk about the dark side of journaling. Now look, I love journaling, but I have seen what happens when it becomes a form of emotional rumination. When writing becomes a way to obsess over your flaws and relive your failures and replay old stories that are no longer serving you. If you have ever found yourself journaling the same painful thought over and over again without actually feeling better, you're not alone. Research shows that repetitive negative thinking, like rumination, can worsen mood and is strongly linked to anxiety, and depression. Even writing about negative thoughts without constructive processing may reinforce these patterns. So here's a quote that I like. Writing helps you see the story, but healing happens when you change the story. So unhelpful habit number 3 is journaling through every problem. So instead of using journaling as a tool to spiral deeper into analysis paralysis, try this. Shift from rumination to reflection, from problem finding to solution shaping. Ask questions like, what is this emotion trying to teach me? What action would my future self thank me for today? Or my personal favorite, what would I do if I trusted myself completely? That one changes everything. So yes, keep journaling, but let it be a bridge to clarity, not a cage of self-analysis. Coming up next, a habit that sounds virtuous, but can actually shut down your emotional healing. So let's talk about the problem with forced gratitude. Gratitude is powerful, but let's be real, sometimes it gets weaponized. You're overwhelmed, burned out, on the edge of tears, and someone chirps, just be grateful, other people have it worse. Here's the thing. Gratitude is not a shortcut out of pain, and when you try to layer it over real struggle without processing what's underneath, it becomes a form of emotional bypassing. I have seen this in patients so many times, especially women. They would come in with real chronic stress symptoms, but dismiss themselves because I shouldn't complain, I have a good life. Studies have found that people who suppress or judge their negative emotions actually experience more distress over time, not less. So what's the shift? Make space for both. You can say, I'm grateful for my home, and I feel incredibly lonely inside it. I'm thankful for my job, and I know it's draining the life out of me. Truth and gratitude can coexist, and when they do, that is when healing starts. So if you've been trying to gratitude your way out of burnout, maybe the real medicine is giving yourself permission to feel what's real. Counterproductive habit number 4 is forcing gratitude when you're in survival mode. Next up, we're going to tackle one of the sneakiest traps in the wellness world when perfectionism comes disguised as self-care. You know what's trending? Hyper-optimized wellness. It's no longer just eat your veggies and move your body. Now it's organic only, gluten-free, seed cycling, lymphatic drainage, the exact supplement stack, 8 hours of sleep, tracked with a ring, 10K steps before noon, and don't forget your ice bath. It's exhausting. And ironically, it's making people less healthy. I call this one habit number 5, the wellness perfectionist trap, where your health becomes just another thing to perform and perfect. And I say this with love because I have been there. As a doctor, I knew the science, but as a woman trying to do everything right, I still ended up anxious, exhausted, and stuck in a cycle of never feeling like I was doing enough. Research found that people who pursue rigid wellness routines were more likely to experience disordered eating, orthorexia, and elevated stress markers. When wellness becomes a moral obligation, it stops being, well, me, probably. I mean, yeah, I made that up, but honestly, it checks out. Here's the shift. Treat wellness like a relationship, not a performance. Instead of chasing perfection, ask, is this helping me feel nourished or just more stressed? Would I still do this if nobody saw it on Instagram? Because sometimes the healthiest thing that you can do is skip the green smoothie and go for a walk with a friend. Okay, next up is a habit that feels responsible, smart, productive, but in reality, it keeps more people stuck than almost anything else. Habit number 6 is thinking your way out of a life that you have outgrown. Basically, it's overthinking your next move. I call it the illusion of progress. You're making lists of pros and cons, and you're journaling for clarity, and you're researching for hours, maybe even watching videos like this one. It feels like you're taking action, but really, you're just delaying the decision. And listen, this isn't a character flaw. Your brain is trying to protect you. When you're afraid of change, the mind goes into overdrive, trying to calculate every risk, every outcome, every way to get it right. But reinvention doesn't start with clarity. it starts with motion. As Carl Jung said, you are what you do, not what you say you'll do. And neuroscience backs this up. Taking action, even small, uncertain action, activates the dopamine-driven reward system, which builds motivation and momentum. So if you have been trying to figure out your next chapter before you take a step, let me offer you this instead. What is one small action your future self would thank you for today? Send the email, sign up for the class, say the scary thing out loud. Clarity isn't the starting line, it's the reward. Next up, our final habit, and it's a big one. Let's talk about what happens when your worth is tied entirely to your achievements. This one's personal, and it might be the hardest habit to spot because it looks like ambition. It looks like high standards. It looks like success. But here's what it really is: a fragile sense of self built entirely on doing, achieving, and performing. And I get it. For years, I measured my worth by how productive I was, how many patients I saw, how many degrees I had, how together I looked on the outside. But here's what no one tells you: achievement without identity, it hollows you out. Research grounded in self-determination theory shows that people who prioritize extrinsic goals like status, performance, or external validation tend to report lower life satisfaction and higher stress levels compared to those driven by intrinsic values. This quote by Jiddu Krishnamurti really resonates with me. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. As a doctor, I saw this all the time. People doing everything right on paper, but underneath, anxious, unfulfilled, burned out. So here's the invitation. Anchor your self-worth in who you are, not what you do. Yes, strive. Yes, build. But don't make your entire identity a performance. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to be someone new. So bottom line, unhelpful habit number 7 is outsourcing your self-worth to achievement. Now, if this video hit home, if you saw yourself in any of these habits, I want to invite you to join me in something powerful. It's called The Reset, a free 5-day challenge that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, and it's designed to help you to clear the mental clutter, break the autopilot habits that are keeping you stuck, and reconnect with the version of you that has been buried under burnout. You'll get short, actionable prompts, a beautiful printable tracker, and tools that I normally only give to paid clients. If you're ready for a reset, not just in your health, but your entire way of being, the link is below in the description. I would love to see you inside. Let me know in the comments below which of these 7 habits sounded the most familiar to you. Which one have you been guilty of falling into? No shame, but there's power in naming something that you are ready to release. If you enjoyed this video, I think that you are going to like the one that I've got coming up for you on the next screen, which is where I share a brain hack that is really powerful when it comes to letting go of the things that you need to move on from. I will see you there. And your energy is your most valuable asset. Okay, so I thought that I turned off notifications, but I didn't. Okay, how do I do this? Do not disturb. All right, good. No more interruptions, please.